Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Finally, I can say that. My name is Oluwaseun Jones Stephen, and this channel is called Widowhood and Beyond. I'm a widow. Now, don't worry, I'm not wearing black because I'm a widow. It's purely coincidental. This channel will be sharing with you my story, my journey so far, the stories of so many widows out there. Now, let's go into how I became a widow. On the 10th of July 2020, I lost my amazing husband of 6 years, Patrick Ajirogene Stephen. It was a normal Friday. The weather was great. I had ordered a pack of small chops to surprise him because Father's Day was a week earlier, and I was just excited, to celebrate it with him. But he had to go out on that day. He had to run an errand. And he promised that he'll be back. I mean, that's what he said. I'll be back in 2 hours, tops. I'll be back. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I got a phone call to be at a hospital close to the house. And when I got there, the scene that I saw, the person I saw wasn't the man that I married. It was horrible, to say the least. Now, according to the police, Patrick's tricycle, what they call Keke Napep in Lagos, was caught between armed robbers and the police. The police was escorting a bullion van that belonged to a bank that was going to deposit money somewhere around the area. And armed robbers attacked the bullion van, and Patrick and some other commuters who were in a keke were caught in between the crossfire. And so he was shot in the head and died just a few minutes after the children and I got there. At the time, we had 2 children, Micah and Jubilee. We didn't have a nanny. Patrick was a hands-on dad, and he didn't see any reason why we should have a nanny. So it was just he and I taking care of the kids. So there was nobody at home. I just went to the hospital with the children, and we all saw him in a pool of his own blood. As a matter of fact, he was in the keke. The keke was dragged to the hospital. He was in the keke in front of the hospital. There was an IV stuck in his arm. A bandage had been tied around the head, and he was practically abandoned in the keke because I guess the hospital staff didn't know what to do with a gunshot wound to the head. And all they could tell me was they don't have blood, so they basically couldn't touch him. And this channel is telling you about how I have journeyed from then till now. I will not wish widowhood on my worst enemy. It's a battle that you have to fight mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. You have to fight to keep your composure. You have to fight every day. You have to wake up, and it's a fight. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And 2 days after my husband passed, I found out that I was pregnant with our 3rd child. She's 1 year and 6 months old now. Her name is Dara. She's a very boisterous, beautiful girl. At the time, people told me to actually get an abortion because Patrick and I were so close. People didn't know how I was going to survive a pregnancy without him. I didn't know how I was going to survive a pregnancy without him. And I tell you that from then till now, it's a battle. It's a battle. Widowhood is a battle. But one thing that I can tell you about widowhood is that it's not the end of the world. If you're a widow out there and you're watching me, trust me when I say that you can have a beautiful life even as a widow. Widowhood will be, your season of widowhood will be whatever you want it to be. Of course, there will be times of depression. There will be times when you will be sad. There will be times when you may be suicidal. But trust me, you can come out of it. You can overcome. You can heal, and you can be whole. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a born-again Christian. And there's a chapter in the Bible in Isaiah 54. I call that chapter God's love letter to widows. It basically just tells you how God plans to heal you, plans to take your pain and fashion it into something beautiful, plans to give you beauty for ashes, plans to protect you, plans to help you. It's a beautiful scripture, and I recommend it to every widow that I meet. Now, let's talk about widowhood in Nigeria. Being a widow in Nigeria is an extreme sport. From the unsolicited advice to the problems of in-laws to the society's response to widows in general. It's not something that is nice to talk about, but it's a conversation that has to be had. I've had people tell me, oh, you're a widow now. Why are you looking this good? You dress too much. People just expect that when you're a widow, you should fade into the background. Your life is over, your husband is dead, so that's it for you. But I tell you, you know what I always tell them? When God created us, he created us individually. Nobody was married at the beginning of creation. Nobody was a wife. God created you as an individual with your destiny. And when you get married, that destiny continues. If your husband dies, that destiny continues. You might have to take a detour, but I tell you that the Bible says that all things work together for your good. So no matter what situation you find yourself in life, trust me, if you trust God with your pain, it's a win-win. Your pain can become something that becomes a stepping stone instead of a setback. People always ask me, oh, how have you healed so fast? How have you overcome? First of all, I decided I did not want to be depressed anymore. I did not want to be sad anymore. And listen, that doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. That doesn't mean that I don't have days when I'm struggling and just tired of fighting. But I don't stay there. I rise again. I decide that I want to be happy. I have a plan. I have a future, that I want. Okay, so Patrick is no longer around to feature in that future. But guess what? That future is going to happen regardless because God is alive. And I believe sincerely that Patrick is in a better place. In fact, I know that he is in a much better place. Life is for the living. Life must go on. It must go on. And that's what people don't understand. They just think that when you're a widow, you should carry a long face and be sad forever. Anytime somebody sees you, they should know that, oh, she's now a widow. I remember after I had my baby and I was trying to lose weight, and a woman looked me in the face and said, why are you trying to lose weight? You are a widow now. There's nobody looking at you. Oh, so I can't look good for myself now that I'm a widow? My life should just end now that I'm a widow? I mean, people look at you and say, oh, get over it. We want you to heal. We want you to become better. But in Nigerian society, when you start healing, when you start living your best life, people say things to you like, oh, you don't miss your husband, do you? Ah, you know to pain you, Abby. Oh, you didn't lose much just because you're happy. It's like they're saying, be happy, but not too happy. Just enough, to satisfy society. And that's the thing about being a widow that you must know. You must be ready to not be a people pleaser. You can't please everybody because everybody will have what to say. People just automatically think that when someone is a widow, they talk down at you. They automatically just think that they are better than you. And it's because of the stereotypes that surround widowhood in our society. I remember when the guy who used to repair our generator when my husband was alive asked me out. It was a mixture of shock and anger, really, And widows are faced with this situation. Sometimes their landlords, their husband's brothers, their late husband's friends, and people who you don't expect to ask you out just begin to crawl out of their secrets admiration stage, or whatever it is, whatever I can call it. I mean, my generator guy went from calling me madam to saying, babe, how far? How are the children? And I'm thinking, wow. And I'm thinking, wow, look at what death has caused. Death is a revealer, I tell you. It is a revealer. And that's another thing. Some of these men are actually offended when you say no. Yes, they think they're doing you a favor. Some men look at widows and think, your choices are limited. You are a widow now. Whatever kind of man life throws at you, just accept. No, a widow's choices are different, not limited. A widow can choose and be with a good, high value man, because a widow is a high value woman. I will explain that as this journey progresses. Now, society makes widows feel like they are at the bottom of the ladder. Makes us feel like we should just fade away. You know, don't talk, don't dress well, wear black all the time, carry a long face, you know, become a charity case, be someone that is going around begging people for money. No. Like I said earlier, widowhood will be whatever you want it to be. For me, it has become a time to learn, a time to discover myself again, a time to live life fully and beautifully. I am not going to edit my happiness to satisfy anybody's emotional palate. I'm not going to pretend to be what I'm not so that society can think I'm a good woman. Some people think that a widow choosing never to remarry means, oh, you are honoring your husband's memory. Oh, she's a good woman. No, that's a choice. It doesn't mean that she's a good woman. It is a choice. And if a widow wants to move on and remarry, she should. Society frowns at widows. I mean, it's like they're saying, oh, be happy, but not too happy. They tell us we have to make a choice between our children and love and finding love again. We'll discuss that as we progress on this journey. Trust me, I can go on and on, but we'll stop here. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on your notification. New video drops every Friday at 3 p.m. every week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Until our next video, bye, and thanks for watching.